knight f6, which develops and prevents white from playing e4. Let's explore black's most popular alternative to d5 and play knight f6. White is typically ready to play knight c3 and e4. Let's plan to meet knight c3 with bishop b4, the Nimzo Indian defense. How do we prepare moving our dark squared bishop to b4? Nice work. Black is prepared to pin white's knight and enter the Nimzo Indian defense. Let's play that move. You got it. Let's control the h1 a8 diagonal by moving our light squared bishop to that long diagonal. How do we prepare this idea? White is ready to take over the center with 6. e4. Let's prevent this by activating our powerful light squared bishop to a square that controls e4. Nice try, but we want to develop... Fantastic. Notice black does not have any pawns in the center, but black's pieces control the center from a distance. A very interesting concept. Can you find a bishop capture that will force a doubling of white's pawns? Excellent. Black doubles white's pawns on the c-file in exchange for the bishop pair. Can you find a pawn move that controls the e5 and c5 squares, puts another pawn on the dark squares, and prepares a future e5 pawn break? Excellent job. Black adds another pawn to the dark squares, limiting the power of white's dark squared bishop. Black is planning to play the move that prepares to develop the f8 bishop to g7. Nice work. Let's explore the king's Indian by moving black's bishop to g7. Great job. White is gaining space in the center and may attack our knight with e5. Let's play a pawn move that protects our center and guards the e5 square. Excellent job. d6 protects the e5 square, supporting a future e5 pawn break to attack white's strong center, the key strategy in the king's Indian defense. Black is ready to attack the center with the key king's Indian pawn break, e5. Let's play this energetic move. We are focusing on black's key pawn. White takes more space in the center, but has given up control of c5. Can you find a way to add more pressure to the e4 pawn and take over the c5 square? Great job. Black's knight jumps into the c5 square and adds pressure to white's center. White is ready to play b4 and kick out this excellently placed knight. How do you prevent this idea? Great job. Black gains space on the queenside and prevents b4, allowing black good chances in the upcoming middle game battle. Let's check out black's aggressive counterattacking opening, the Grunfeld defense. What is black's central pawn strike that turns the opening into the Grunfeld defense? Nice try, but this... Great job. Black allows white to take over the center with pawns in order to counterattack. White gets 2 pawns directly in the center, but black will now force a pawn weakness on c3. Play that move. Great job. White has a strong center, but now has a weak pawn on c3. Let's move black's bishop to the same diagonal as white's d4 and c3 pawns. This move does not place black's bishop. Why did black play g? Both sides are making strong moves to fight for the center. Can you find black's key pawn strike that attacks the d4 pawn? You got it. Black adds more pressure to the pinned d4 pawn, and white plays a strong move defending d4. Can you develop another minor piece and add more pressure to d4? Excellent job. Black increases the pressure against white's center. White has many interesting moves to protect the center, including queen d2 or rook c1. Black has played the risky Dutch defense. Can you find a strong plan to develop your light squared bishop to the h1 a8 diagonal? How can you open a window for white's bishop to move to g2 on the next move? Excellent work.